This has really been quite an interesting conundrum for nickel, because we would say that nickel prices have actually been defying the fundamentals of supply and demand.
So hello and welcome to the Assay TV. Today we have Angela Durrant, Senior Research Manager at Wood Mackenzie here with us.
Thank you.
Angela, welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.
And so, Angela, to kick us off, we're going to be speaking a little bit about nickel today. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about what's the impact of the coronavirus pandemic been on nickel prices, supply and demand, in China in particular, and then maybe also looking at the rest of the world?
Absolutely. No, my pleasure, Amy. I'd love to talk about that. So we have seen a colourful year, I suppose, in terms of nickel prices. At the start of the year, we did see prices coming down as the world started to tighten down, moving into lockdowns in various regions from March onwards in the rest of the world outside of China. What concurred at the same time is that we saw increasing prices for nickel, but we also saw increasing prices across the LME industrial metals suite. This has really been quite an interesting conundrum for nickel, because we would say that nickel prices have actually been defying the fundamentals of supply and demand. We have contracted our demand increasingly month on month since March as the pandemic spread across the world. So our demand position certainly for 2020 globally was looking quite weak. However, what has been key, I think, is that China has rebounded, like with Wuhan actually coming out of their lockdown, in early April and actually declaring themselves almost virus-free. We have seen a real uptick in demand in China, which has basically, I think, provided a lot of momentum for prices outside of the region and supported the sentiment, which is largely positive across the globe.
Great. And how do you see kind of recovery globally shaping up? Absolutely.
So we were initially expecting a V-shaped recovery, I think, but given the slowness of recovery in certain parts of the world, we probably are now looking more at a more gradual recovery over the next 2 years. So that, say, from a 2019 perspective, where we had around 5% consumption growth, we don't expect to sort of hit that level until probably 2022 or 2023. So it is just a slower climb in terms of that consumption growth.
Great. And so yesterday there was the big Battery Day presentation where Elon Musk made a big announcement that Tesla is going to be cutting the cobalt from their batteries and increasing the amount of nickel. What do you make of this announcement, and what do you think will be the impact on the industry?
Well, I think Elon Musk is actually saying a lot of things currently, so which we all hold our breath about each time a new announcement comes out. Look, I think everybody believes that the cobalt profile and where production or material is sourced is somewhat unsavory, and in this environment, you're also looking at a supply chain that is actually becoming increasingly smaller, just in terms of the global production of cobalt. So it is extremely difficult to factor that into batteries over a long-term period. So it does make sense, absolutely, and is also good for nickel in a way. Nickel cannot replace cobalt in batteries, however, but hopefully through different technological advances, we will get to a point where the cobalt and the stability that does actually provide in batteries will be replaced by something else. So from a nickel perspective, the NCM outlook for batteries is always been very good, because you see more nickel units than lithium units in batteries. So I'm still confused why they call them lithium hydroxide batteries when really they should be nickel batteries. Anyway, I'm biased.
Absolutely. And I guess with kind of this idea of increased demand of nickel, is there going to be any kind of quality issues there that people need to be aware of?
Yes, so I think the quality issue, certainly for nickel in batteries, is what we talk about in our sector is really the quality of the nickel that is, well, not the nickel as such, but the nickel sulfate that is produced from nickel mines through various processes. Nickel sulfate has to be incredibly pure, and that is the precursor material that goes into the battery, and that is certainly key. So from a quality mine perspective and the nickel that it is extracted, that is not so important. It is really what that solution, like that product, the nickel sulfate quality is absolutely key.
All right, great. And so thank you, Angela, for joining us here today at the Assay TV. To hear more about Angela's outlook on the nickel price, supply and demand, please stay tuned to the upcoming one-to-one mining investment APAC online event. So thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Amy.